And you're live, Your Worship.
All right, thank you very much, Sarah, for getting us set up today on our Zoom meeting. So, Council, I see we have all members here, so I'll call this meeting to order and acknowledge that it is Monday, January the 18th, 2021. Welcome to our second meeting of 2021. Our agenda is before us, and so I will commence the meeting. We have item number 1 is our closed session. We had no closed session today, so we're going directly to approval of the agenda. And I'll read the motion and ask for mover and seconder. Our recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated January 18, 2021 as presented. Mover and seconder, please. Mr. Broderick, Councillor Deneen. Anything further, Council? All those in favor? And the agenda is approved. Motion carries. Item 3 is disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Is there any members have any disclosures at this time? Seeing none, if there are anything that comes up during the meeting, please bring it forward. We'll deal with it at that time. Let's see, Council, number 4 is our public participation period. We have no registered public participation period participants tonight. I just want to again remind the public that they are welcome to use the link that's available at clearview.ca, and that will give you access to the little form that you can fill out if you wish to have any public participation period. So, and participate in our council meeting. So thank you very much. Item 5 is deputation presentation. There are none. Item 6 is a public meeting, and there are none. And that quickly, we go right to page 2 of our agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of our council meetings. We have 2 of them. They'll be in one motion. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the council meeting as presented December the 7th, 2020, which was a budget public meeting, as well as January the 11th, 2021, which is our previous council minutes. I'll look for a mover and seconder on those minutes. Let's see here, Mr. Burton and Mr. Lamers. Mr. Burton, Mr. Lamers, are there any questions on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you. Okay, business arising from the minutes, if any. Item 8. Anybody get anything from that? Thank you. All right, Council, we are at communications from the mayor. There is no closed session report today, so I have nothing to report in item 9.1. Item 9.2 is a recent letter from the BIA, which we received just this morning. And after consultation with a couple of councillors, I decided that we needed to put this on our agenda right away so we can deal with it. And so I have a letter from the BIA. It's actually addressed to Amanda Murray and Terry Vachon. They're our Clearview Township Culture, Recreation, and Tourism Department. And so they're available if any members of the council have any questions. Does anybody like to discuss this motion or this letter? Mr. Patterson? Hi, Mr. Broderick. Okay, I got a list. Got a list already. Go ahead, Tom.
Okay, thank you. So I'm glad to see Amanda's here. Just a couple of questions when I saw it, and I noticed Terry's here too. Thanks. I'm actually coming at this from the approach the residents. For the last couple of years, the motorcycle traffic has been building to, I would say it's beyond tolerable for many of the folks on the main routes in. For the last 5 or 6 years, we've had a group of residents on North Mill Street that have been complaining every year. And the mayor knows well the leader of the pack. And the BIA maybe 6, 7 years ago addressed the issue and did make a resolution similar to what you saw this morning, and that they appreciated the business. They know it's a bit noisy. But last year and the year, I paid a lot more attention to it. And I actually, if you're in any of the backyards along George Street, on Mill Street, County Road 9, you have to be at least 3 building lots away, a block and a half, let's say, before the noise that comes from them is tolerable. So I think the residents who have complained to me, some new residents, by the way, some established residents. I think they have a valid concern. I haven't known what to do really about them. I've had suggestions from several people saying, can't we stop them coming into town on the weekends? That's how bad it is getting for some people. So, and that's certainly not the BIA's position. So I support the BIA when they say they're doing this out of respect for their neighbors, because I do know that they're getting complaints from their locals when they go in. So I think that's a valid position they've had, and I appreciate that BIA has taken a sort of a halfway measure, saying they, out of that, having taken that position, they don't want to promote it as a group, but obviously they're not. They welcome their members, businesses, to participate as they feel necessary. So I had a couple questions, if I may. I don't know how we want to handle this, but
sure. If I can, Tom, if there's questions regarding the content of the letter or clarifications from staff about the request that's in the letter, that'll be fine. We're just in a discussion period of communications received from the mayor. So, you know, that's where we are right now. So if anybody has any discussion points you want to bring up, let's please do. So go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so a question to Amanda, and I think I am familiar with the BC Hughes, the company that is doing the marketing and the destination marketing for the county, and I've seen their Zoom meeting, at least the portion that I could access, and in there they made a reference to a person named Amanda who asked if the BIAs could get presentations. Was that you?
To Amanda, hello.
Yeah. Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. Yes, Councillor Patterson, I specifically requested during a workshop Zoom meeting that we had in December that presentations would be made to BIAs as well as Chamber of Commerce as part of their stakeholder engagement process.
No, well, thank you for doing that. No, did they take you up on the offer?
So the email response from Tourism Simcoe County was yes, they would be interested in doing that, and we would touch base in the new year to set up those times. Okay. The BIA meeting that happened just last week, this agenda item came up prior to having a formal presentation made by BC Hughes and Tourism Simcoe County.
Okay, well that actually shortens my concern because I had a few. I didn't know if we were going to go forward with this without at least consulting with them. I'm getting comments. One not at a group level, but I'm getting comments like they're not. The restaurant owner does not see them actually adding to their business. So there's a thought, at least in one or two, and I heard that last year as well, that they're using. By the way, the route they're looking at, they call it the Saints and Sinners, or there's another one, the big loop goes around the 450 and the 250. But they only go through Duntroon and Nottawa, Creemore, I presume. It's not shown on the map in New Lowell. They don't actually show it on their loop in Stayner. So I wondered if the marketing was going to be further developed. And the other thing is, have we seen their market research data that actually confirms that this would actually balance the frustration and the nuisance to our residents versus increased sales support to our businesses? I don't know how you actually weigh that, but I mean, we have residents that are complaining constantly, and business owners trying to do right for their local customers. And now I'm hearing the official position saying, I'm not sure that it's that beneficial. So hopefully that'll all be covered in the new year before the program is fully laid out. That's a question.
Okay, can we go to either Amanda or Terry if they can decipher some of that and find their questions in there? Go ahead, Amanda.
Thank you again. So if I can just summarize your question. Yes, there is market research on the demographics, the type of tourist that would be considered a motorcyclist, either because they own a motorcyclist or they're an enthusiast and they perhaps support motorcycle tourism. So that information would be part of the BC Hughes presentation that, again, I received a copy of, as well as other members of the Creemore BIA were involved in that initial presentation. So yes, there is that. I can certainly get copies of the presentation and circulate it if that is of value. Or like I said, I can get a formal presentation to the BIA directly. With respect to the routes, all of the routes that are identified are just in draft format right now. Some of the criteria needed for motorcycling are things like paved roads, wide open roads with long stretches. Obviously in Clearview, we have spectacular views, and we have a lot of feeder county roads and smaller side roads that are perhaps have less truck traffic, less busy transit or commuter traffic, which is why Highway 26, for example, is not identified in the draft maps, but County Road 10, County Road 9 would be. Even Riverside Road going up through Glen Huron is a preferred road, say over Concession 6, which actually has a lot of blind hills, blind corners. So all the routes are still in draft mode, and by no means would they be promoted without at least stakeholder engagement. And at that point, it would be of the opinion that it would be our department reviewing that in consultation with the stakeholders that would be a part of it. The other aspect to the stakeholder component is directly related to businesses who sign up to be a part of the motorcycle campaign. So although the BIA has taken this stand, that doesn't exclude a business, whether it's in Creemore or any other part of Clearview Township, from registering to be a motorcycle friendly destination or a motorcycle friendly business to support the destination planning. I hope that answers your questions, I believe.
Just one quick question. So did you, I don't need to see it now, but or before you meet with the BIA in the chamber, did you get a copy of their ride, the county restaurant scorecards? How they characterize motorcycle friendly or I guess unfriendly businesses?
Yes, Councillor Patterson, I do have a copy of that.
So when you do come back to us, could you bring, that's sort of a profile of what we're seeing out there in our business community. So if you could bring that information whenever you, and I would prefer you come back to us if you are going to come back to council after you've met with the chamber and the BIA. My own suggestion. It's up to the rest of the council, of course. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson. Yes, Mr. Vachon, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I could just further add, the details of the letter, they state that their request is that they be excluded from their marketing strategies. It doesn't state, Your Worship, that they don't want any motorcycles in downtown Creemore, or there's no request for any bylaws to prevent motorcycles in downtown Creemore. It's just a matter of not marketing it part of the Simcoe County Tourism new product that they're providing. So just for council to be aware, this is not about not allowing motorcycles into Creemore today. It's just about not marketing it.
Fair enough. No, fair enough. I understood that. I'm sure members of council have read this a few times and they've considered that. All right, thank you. Staff, don't go away. Councillor Broderick is next. Is there anybody else? And Mr. McKechnie. Go ahead, Mr. Broderick next.
Thank you, Your Worship. I got to start with, I can't even express as a motorcyclist how offensive I find this letter, how prejudicial, and it leaves me wondering and very, very deeply concerned about the representation of businesses in Clearview, or in Creemore, pardon me. Very, very disappointing. That's all I got to say.
All right, thank you, Councillor Broderick, for those comments. Councillor McKechnie is next. Anybody else? Councillor McKechnie, go ahead, Doug.
Okay, you have to bear with me, Your Worship, because I've got this new iPad. I'm trying to figure everything out.
No problem.
I just wanted to, reiterate basically what Terry said. I was at the IBIA board meeting. So, I'm the council representative for that meeting, and I don't want council to read more into this letter than what's actually there. The BIA recognized that motorcycles are going to be coming to Creemore, and there are some businesses that will benefit. A lot of businesses won't benefit, but they just sent this letter just as a out of respect to the community, because there is some concern from the residents in the community about the noise of the motorcycles, and so they just wanted to send a letter off to the township to let you know that they don't want to be involved in any active marketing as a BIA, as an entity. Just out of respect to the community, but they fully respect that there's some businesses like the brewery, for instance, that will benefit, and such, and those businesses, they can be involved in the marketing as much as they want. So anyway, I don't want us to read more into the letter than what is there, and I think that we should just take it, accept it as for information purposes and such. And I read the response that Terry gave, sent to the letter, and I think that was adequate and such. So that's basically all that I have as the BIA rep, is that just take it as it is, and the letter's on file, and they made their wishes known, and we move forward now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, does anybody else on council have any questions or comments? All right, I'll throw out a comment if I may. Certainly, Councillor Patterson alluded to it in his early part of his statement, and that is true, that I have certainly heard from residents from Creemore in regards to noisy vehicles or noise-making vehicles. And I've done a little investigating about that, about what type of enforcement opportunities can be done. I had a discussion with our previous detachment commander, Mr. Brown, about that. And Mr. Brown and I, Inspector Brown and I, further investigated the work that's being done by the Halton Regional Police Department. They operate a program called Operation Noisemaker. You can look it up online at the Halton Region Police Department. They have a very extensive enforcement program that they have initiated. Mr. Brown, Inspector Brown, took great interest in it and was bringing it to the interest of the members of the Huronia West Detachment. Mr. Brown, as you know, has left us. I had a brief conversation with our replacement inspector about that, and I've had an opportunity to send an email to our new replacement inspector. So it's on the agenda. Further, there is a meeting this week with the CPAC meeting, which I'll be attending on behalf of Clearview Township, which of course is the community policing advisory committee for the detachment. So I'll be meeting with the other mayors and CAOs from Huronia West, and I'll bring this point forward yet again. But certainly noisemakers are something that we can't do much about. It is a provincial regulation, and it's enforced provincially, and it is disappointing. And so I tend to understand where the residents come from. I appreciate that, but I'm also more surprised that we're getting a letter from the BIA about this, given that the BIA are promoting business and want business in their area. So I would suggest to this council that we receive this information and continue to support the work of our staff through the work that Amanda does as our partners with tourism, and Terry and as a supervisor of that department. I'm hoping that they'll be able to report back to us on the good work. So I see nothing further. I'll thank our members of staff to join us here today. And at this time, I'm going to call for a motion to receive the communications from the mayor for information. Can I have a mover and seconder? Mr. Walker and the deputy mayor. Anything further? All those in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, staff, for joining us. Good conversation. All right, council, we're going right to department reports, community services, CS002, 2001. This is the zoning bylaw amendment for Midwest Metals, which is at 7685 County Road 9 in Creemore, which is formerly known as 2020-059 ZB. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby one, receive report CS 002-2021 for information, and item 2, pass the zoning bylaw amendment to the Township of Clearview zoning bylaw number 0654, being bylaw number 21-07 for the lands known as 7685 County Road 9, Creemore, and legally described as Part Lot 5, Concession 5, Part Lot 9, Registered Plan 51R 41231, Parts 1 and 2, formerly in Nottawasaga, now in the Township of Clearview. A mover and seconder on the motion, and then we'll hear from the staff. Mr. Deputy Mayor and Mr. Lamers. Mr. Deputy Mayor, Mr. Lamers. I see Rosalind's with us. Hello, Rosalind. Nice to see you. And would you like to outline some of the information in this report? And before you go, very good report, like quite good detailed information. I enjoyed reading it. Go ahead, Ros.
Very good. Thank you. Good evening, all. Nothing really to report on. You have my report. We did have the public meeting last week, so should be fairly fresh in everyone's minds. And I'm here to answer questions.
Excellent. Does any member of council have a question of Rosalind? Seeing none. Thank you, Rosalind. Council, you've heard the motion. I've got a mover and second. I'll call the motion. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Ross. All right, next item is a public works item. It is actually some amazing good news. PW 001-2021. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby one, receive the 2020 MECP inspection report, PW 001-2021 summary for information. I'll get a mover and seconder, and then we'll hear from our amazing staff on this one, Mr. Walker and Mr. Broderick. And Stephanie, nice to see you. First I've seen you in 2021. Nice to see you. Outstanding report yet again. So why don't you outline some of the information in this report for us?
Sure. Thank you very much, Mayor Measures and Council. Great to see you, everyone, of you, even though it is virtually, of course, but that's good. So I can just happy to report that we made it through our 2020 Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks inspections. So the physical inspections occurred over a 3-day period through in July through September. There were 3 days of site visits by our inspector, and he does that to ensure that all the equipment and whatnot's installed in our pump houses meets the requirements of our drinking water works permit. After this, I then provided the ministry with approximately about 75 megabytes worth of data, electronic documents, and supporting information for their review. It was contained in, I think I counted about 230 files in total. So he had lots of material to work with. And that would be anything from our sample results, data from our analyzers, operating procedures, logbooks, all that type of stuff gets reviewed by him. And then from there, they were produced the reports, a total of about 100 pages worth of reports in total from that. And the entire process took about 4.5 months for us to complete. So.
Well, it's interesting you say us to complete. If I may jump in, Council. Stephanie Schell is our compliance officer in that department, and she works with all of our water staff, as well as supervised by Mike and Todd and everybody else over there who's looking after water. So it's a lot of work to put this report together. So thank you very much, Steph, and your whole team for doing that.
Absolutely. Couldn't do it without everybody. So
you betcha. Any member members of council have any questions? Yes, Mr. Patterson, go ahead.
Yes, just Stephanie. Good to see you again. Yeah, great report. I mean, it's a terrific track record, 100%. So the only thing that struck me when I was reading the report, I kind of went back to say, well, that's curious. I'm assuming since the work started in July, most of August, we didn't get the report till December, that there's procedures that would alert us quickly if there was something we had to look at to attention to. And I assume that it took till December to get the report, not just because it's so complicated, but they knew at some point fairly early on that there wasn't any problem. That's an assumption I'm making. I'm asking if that's true.
Sure.
Good point.
Yep,
Stephanie?
Yes, through you, Your Worship. Yes, if anything were to come up at any time, that they would bring it to our attention right away. And even same thing that goes as well throughout the year. If we were aware of a problem, we always bring that to the ministry right at the beginning. That's just the kind of the working relationship that we have with them, so that way that they're aware of what's going on, and we have a really good working dialogue amongst ourselves. So, and with the ministry. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of council with a question for our staff? All right, seeing none, I just want to acknowledge the work that Mike has done. The role that Stephanie plays and has fulfilled is the role of compliance officer. Mike brought this role to our council. Steph, has it been 5 years or maybe longer?
yeah,
About six? 5, 6?
yeah, it'll be. I'll be 5 years in May. So
There you go. So thank you to Mike and your leadership for bringing that position to us, because that's demonstrates why our reports like this are really important and why our water system remains safe. So thank you very much. All right, members of council, we got a mover and seconder. I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Stephanie, for all your work. Okay, council. We're going to talk now about a borrowing bylaw. Finance Department, FIN 002-2021. It's the temporary borrowing bylaw. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby, 1, receive the 2021 temporary borrowing bylaw 2021-04 report for information, and approves the 2021 temporary borrowing bylaw 21-04. All right, can I have a mover and seconder on that? Let's see, where are we? Councillor Lamers and Councillor McKechnie. Councillor Lamers and Councillor McKechnie. Kelly, hello, Kelly. Our treasurer has joined us. Would you like to speak to this report?
Thank you, Your Worship, and to members of council. This is just our annual borrowing bylaw for our, I guess a layman's term would be our line of credit. We don't actually use it. We haven't used it in over 15 years, but this standard bylaw sets it out that if we should need to use it, we're allowed to.
All right, I think that's pretty clear. Does anybody have any questions to Kelly on this report? Seeing none, thank you, Kelly. I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you very much. And our next item is the insurance renewal, FIN 003. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby, 1, receive the 2021 insurance renewal report for information, and item 2, approve the insurance and risk management renewal proposal from Marsh Canada Limited in the amount of $483,502 plus PST. And just for information, Marsh Canada is still the same company that we've always dealt with. So I'll look for a mover and seconder. And that would be Mr. Broderick and Ms. Leishman, Councillor Leishman. Kelly, as I said, Marsh is just a new name on the same company we've often dealt with. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely, Your Worship. Marsh and JLT joined teams this year, JLT right, being the municipal specialists. So now they've got I guess a larger knowledge base to draw from. But you will see a bit of a difference on some of our forms just now that they've moved to the Marsh standards.
Council, is there any questions to Kelly in regards to this report? Looking for any? All right, Kelly. Well, obviously rates go up. So, I mean, that's unfortunate about insurance, but it's certainly something what we need. So I appreciate the work that you're doing in your communication with this company, and I appreciate this report. Council, we got a mover and seconder. I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that motion carries. All right, where are we at? FIN 004, it's the DC pamphlet. This is just an update to our development charge pamphlet. Recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby, 1, receive the 2021 development charge pamphlet report for information. Mover and seconder on this motion. Where are we at? Mr. Broderick and Mr. Lamers. And Kelly, again, this is just an update, I believe, to our current DC bylaw, so just to refresh it for 2021. Go ahead, Kelly.
Absolutely. This is the new updated bylaw with the 2.3% increase. And again, this is the standard bylaw that comes to council once a year to approve our development charges based on our DC background study.
Right. And the other question I have, of course, this will be published or printed, and there'll be hard copies available that then can be handed out through the Development and Community Services desk if there's any questions to the public. Is that right?
Absolutely. They're also posted on our website.
You betcha. Any members of council have questions to Kelly in regards to the DC pamphlet? Seeing none. Thank you, Kelly. All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And the authority for our local authority services, LAS agreement, recommendation be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby receives the 2021 local authority services agreement. And item 2, authorize the Director of Finance and Treasurer and Finance to execute the agreement on behalf of the municipality. Mover and seconder on the LAS agreement. Mover and seconder, Councillor Leishman, Councillor Deneen. Councillor Leishman, Councillor Deneen. Kelly, anything you'd like to say about LAS?
I think the report speaks for itself. We've been in the agreements with LAS for quite some time. They work through the AMO. I did want to comment that it's probably the first meeting in my entire career where I've had more to say than the planning department.
Oh my, well. Actually, I don't even see any of them on board here right now. I think they're not even here. Oh, that's great. Okay, we'll keep it that way. All right, thank you. For council and for members of the public, the LAS agreement has to do with our gas rates, mostly that we have to pay for some of our natural gas rates. And we get a terrific rate by purchasing in a bulk agreement that goes right across the province. So that's what that mostly has to do with. Anybody with anything further? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. All right, council, we got some bylaws here. Number 21-04, it's an interim borrowing bylaw. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw number 21-04 being an interim borrowing bylaw be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on the 18th day of January 2021. And I have a mover and seconder on that bylaw. Mr. Walker, Councillor Deneen, Walker and Deneen. And council, you've heard the bylaw. All those in favor? And the bylaw carries. Bylaw 21-07 is a zoning bylaw amendment in regards to 7685 County Road 9. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 21-07 being a zoning bylaw amendment for lands located at 7685 County Road 9 be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on the 18th day of January 2021. Can I get a mover and seconder on this bylaw? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Deneen. Deputy Mayor and Councillor Deneen. Council, you've heard the bylaw. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And the bylaw carries. All right. Bylaw 21-08 is to amend our bylaw 1906, which is our appointment bylaw. So at this time, I'm going to read it. A recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 21-08, being a bylaw to amend the appointment bylaw 1906, be presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed this 18th day of January 2021. May I have a mover and seconder on that? Councillor Lamers, Councillor McKechnie. Thank you. And Council, you've reviewed the appointment. It's actually, we're taking somebody off of the board who's no longer serving as a board member. So all those in favor? And the bylaw carries. And a local authority LAS agreement, recommendation be it resolved, that's 21-09. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 21-09 being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with the local authority services LAS be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on this 18th day of January 2021. Mover and seconder on that bylaw. Where are we at here? McKechnie and Leishman. McKechnie and Leishman. And council, you've seen the bylaw. I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that bylaw carries. Item 13 is our notice of motion, new business. Council. I don't see any. We have nothing delivered to us. So at this point, then I have item 14, the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 21-10, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the January 18th, 2021 council meeting, be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on the 18th day of January 2021. Bylaw moved by Councillor McKechnie, seconded by Councillor Broderick. Council, you've heard the motion. All those in favor? Confirmatory bylaw passes. Item 15 is our notice, our motion to adjourn. Does anybody would like, I see you, Mr. McKechnie, don't worry, I've got you right there. Does there anybody have anything you'd like to add? Nothing? All right, council. We didn't really do a go around the table, but I'll tell you what, is there anybody who wants to go around the table? Because I did pass through it. We only met 1 week ago, so I didn't think it was anything else. That's why I passed over it. So is there anybody with a ward report they'd like to add? All right, I didn't see any. I just want to encourage people to try to stay home as much as you possibly can. Social distancing is the only way we're going to get through this whole pandemic thing, and we're all doing our best. I know we are. And we want to send out our great thanks to the essential workers, the people that work in our hospitals and in our nursing homes, and everybody else who's looking after us in the healthcare system. Members of council, motion to adjourn. Recommendation be it resolved that council meeting be adjourned at 6:08 p.m. I'll have it moved by Councillor McKechnie, seconded by Councillor Deneen. Council, the motion to adjourn. All those in favor? And the motion carries. So we will adjourn the meeting, and we would acknowledge that our staff have done a great job putting together a fine little meeting for us here tonight. Thank you very much. Staff, thank you, and thank you to everybody for joining me tonight. Take care.